won't come as a surprise to any of you that I love handbags. Kind of obvious since I have a YouTube channel all about them. And many of you know that I'm also an artist. I've been an artist my entire life, and I've also been an art teacher. So one of my favorite things is when both of those two interests combine. In the past few months, I have noticed a quite delicious trend blending handbags and pop art, very often in the form of food. And I'm going to tell you all about it today with examples from contemporary brands and from luxury brands. Now, this is not a new idea, but it is perhaps renewed, and the bags themselves definitely will not be everyone's cup of tea, but they are a lot of fun, and I think the evolution of the concepts that are behind this trend are fascinating and food for thought, quite literally, as you'll see. Welcome, I'm Autumn Beckman, and I'm here to help you live your most luxurious life within your budget. I post new videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of those, and so you don't miss my daily community posts where I share the best sales of the day and fabulous handbags that I find. Also, don't miss my website, autumnbeckman.com. I will have the shop page linked below. That's where you can find handbags and small goods that I have for sale, and a collection of planner pages that I have designed to help you organize and curate your handbags and your life. For example, the item tracker page is where you can record all the information about your handbags and small goods. And I have a variety of calendar layouts, to-do pages, project planners, habit trackers, and so much more. I know most of you are just here to see the handbags, but I am going to give a very brief overview of pop art and what I mean by that. Pop art originated in the 1950s and 60s. I always thought it was an American invention, but it actually started in England. However, it has become known more as an American art form. The pop in pop art means popular, and the concept behind pop art is that it's intended to blur the boundaries between the low and the high. So in the case of pop art, that means the low are everyday things, and the high is high art, the art world. A couple of examples here. There's Liechtenstein, who made paintings that look like comic strips, or Oldenburg, who made giant soft sculptures of everyday things like this hamburger. And of course, the most well-known pop artist is Andy Warhol. Some examples of his work are the Brillo pad boxes, and of course, the Campbell's Soup silkscreen prints. Warhol said he doesn't think art should only be for the select few. He said, "I think it should be for the mass of the American people." So the idea behind pop art was taking these everyday things, making them into art, which then elevates them. It gives them reverence, and that act of reverence of everyday things shows irreverence for the art world. It calls high art into question. What is art? It questions the status quo. It questions authority. It questions institutions, and overall it questions how we think about things. Now, what does any of this have to do with handbags? Well, there are parallels in fashion, and particularly in handbags. When a fashion designer turns an everyday object into a handbag, and particularly when it's a bag with a high price point, and particularly for a luxury brand that has a certain reputation, you might think of the J.W. Anderson pigeon bag, or the Fendi baguette. We often call these novelty pieces, but the act of turning an everyday object into an expensive handbag suggests irreverence toward luxury. It calls luxury into question. What is luxury? How is that luxury? How is that art? We'll come back to those questions toward the end of the video, but now I want to show you the bags. And I'll do so as a bit of a progression from when I first became aware of pieces like this, and then some pieces I've seen lately. Then we'll talk about a few luxury pieces that I know of, and then we'll go back to those questions. I first became aware of pop art bags in this Coach outlet collection. I don't know what year this was, but it was probably about 10 or 15 years ago. Not particularly recent, but this collection featured imagery of products. And as you'll see, there's an overarching theme of food in these pop art pieces. Now, why that is, I'm not entirely sure. We'll come back to that at the questions in the end. But this collection utilizes imagery from Bazooka Gum, Cracker Jacks, Pepsi, and I have a piece of this, Campbell's soup. And of course you can't help but think of Andy Warhol's Campbell's soup artwork when you see these. So I was already aware of that collection since I had a piece from it, and I remember seeing it in stores. Then a few months ago, I started seeing YouTubers like Meredith of Living Lux with Meredith and Winnie of Winnie BLV, I will link their channels below, showing bags that look like Diet Coke cans. And then I started seeing a collection from Kate Spade that was all about Heinz ketchup. There were bags that looked like Heinz ketchup, bag charms that look like little packets of ketchup. And they followed that with an M&M's collection. Some of that is still on their website, and a few of those pieces are for sale. I will have them linked below. By the way, anything in this video that I can find, I will link in the description box below. So there's this bag that looks like an M&M. There were bag charms that look like bags of M&Ms with M&Ms hanging off of them. And then I started seeing pieces from Anya Hindmarch. And you could certainly argue Coach Outlet and Kate Spade are not considered by most people to be luxury brands or to charge luxury prices, although Kate Spade can be pricey. But Anya Hindmarch, those are luxury prices. And I was seeing things from them like this Rolo pencil pouch, or this Nestle Crunch zip card case, or this Kit Kat bag charm, a Heinz ketchup card case and bag charm, this Kikkoman soy sauce wallet, this Diet Coke bag charm and pouch, this Perrier bag, this Heinz baked bean bag, this cornflakes wallet, or this Rice Krispies bag. And that's just a small sample of what they have to offer. And this is the collection that got me thinking, what is going on here? I'm used to seeing novelty bags from Kate Spade. They almost always have a collection of novelty pieces. But you don't see it as often with the luxury brands, though you do see it. We will get to that in a minute. And this collection, everything I just showed you is food there, but there are other pieces. For example, this Carmex bag charm, or this Duracell pouch, or this Ever Ready battery bag. But primarily they are food, and it got me thinking about other luxury brands and bags that they have done related to food. Chanel once had an entire runway show set in a Chanel grocery store where they introduced bags shaped like packaged meat or milk cartons. Louis Vuitton, not too long ago, put out this bag that looks like a paper lunch bag, or this shape looks like a plastic grocery bag, just like some of Anya Hindmarch's bags. They famously did garbage bag, Louis Vuittons, and of course the paint cans and this newspaper pouch. And I'm sure many of you have seen this YSL bag that to me looks like a McDonald's Happy Meal box. But one of the really interesting things about pop art, taking these everyday objects, elevating them, is like Andy Warhol said, it's meant to make the art more accessible to everyone, to the masses. But when you take that everyday object and you elevate it, and it now has a high price tag, you end up doing the opposite. You end up with items that are inaccessible to most people. You end up excluding people. And the same thing happens with these handbags. Perhaps most of us could afford the Coach Outlet pieces when they first came out. Some people can afford Kate Spade prices, but much fewer people are able to pay about $1,800 for one of those Anya Hindmarch bags, let alone thousands for those luxury brand bags. So does pop art at that level then defeat the purpose of pop art completely? And I would argue, at least in the handbag world, well, that's where dupes come in. This is a dupe of a Chanel bag, a novelty piece, and one could argue a pop art piece. And what is the appeal of these handbags right now at this moment in time? Why are they appearing again? I suspect it has to do with two things, kitsch and nostalgia. Kitsch is a German word that describes a type of popular culture that is considered to be in poor taste or vulgar or sentimental. And I think that ties into having a connection with a brand. I remember when Meredith showed her Diet Coke bag, she mentioned something about having a connection to Diet Coke. Now for me, I don't feel like I have enough connection to any brands to wear a bag shaped like a package of ketchup, for example. For me, the connection would be more to the art world, such as with the Campbell soup charm, but it could also connect to parody, a sense of fun and playfulness. I think a lot of people buy and wear pieces like this as a bit of a tongue-in-cheek statement. Not that you're making fun of the brands, but that you're having fun with them. And all that also can connect to nostalgia. And in times of uncertainty, such as these several years since COVID, we often have nostalgia for times that we perceive as less stressful. And we're often particularly drawn to times in our childhood when we had virtually no responsibility. I think that could explain why we're seeing so many connections here in these pop art bags to food. M&M's, M&Ms, cereal, even the Campbell's soup. We tend to associate those kinds of things with childhood and many foods like that as comfort foods. So perhaps there's a conscious or not connection there when we find ourselves drawn to this kind of pop art. But of course, I would be remiss if I did not also mention that capitalism and marketing most certainly play a part in this. Does that de-authenticate the idea behind pop art, or does it cement it even more? Let me know what you think of that in the description box below. Also, let me know if you have any bags, bag charms, accessories that you would consider pop art, what they are, or if you'd be interested or not in adding any of these pieces to your collection, and why or why not. And while you're down there, please make sure to check the description box for the links to anything that I've mentioned in the video that I'm able to find, and the link for my website for handbags, small goods, and planner pages. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Hope to see you back here next time, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.